What's up, fam? You know who it is. You know what I do. You know how I gets down. It's your boy Monte. For those of you who are new, welcome to the channel. For those of you who have been riding with me, thanks for continuing riding with me. That's my little two-step. I'm trying to add a little something to it to keep it funky and fresh. All right. So for those of you who have been riding with me, thanks for the support, the continued support. I'm greatly appreciative of your support and your willingness to listen to what it is that I have to share. All right, today we're going to be into a deep topic today. Don't get emotional, guys. Reason with me, hear me out. Don't just go into something with the idea that it's automatically against you or a specific individual when I'm talking about nature. I'm dealing with nature. I'm not talking about anything beyond what is natural according to nature and the survival of the species. The first law is reproduction. Anything after that is all part of a cultural, societal workings. All right, I'm not saying they're right, I'm not saying they're wrong, but we're gonna have to deal with what is natural, and the first law of nature is the survival of the species. And what does that require? It requires the species to reproduce. All right, before we get deep into that, now let's talk about, it's a tip for how you can lose fat, guys. So many of us deal with weight issues. I myself, even though I am a trainer, I'm finally getting back into the routine of being able to work out myself, and I'm mastering my nutrition and getting things in order. For those of you who don't know, I am vegan, but that doesn't make me hate those who are meat eaters or bash meat eaters. It has nothing to do with that, guys. I'm much more in tune with dealing with things not from a bashing type or condemnation type of point of view. Now, let's talk about your ability to lose fat. The most efficient way to do this is this, guys. You want to try to fast as long as you can. Fasting because you want to allow your body time to work through the glucose stores that it has. It usually takes 12 hours after you've consumed anything that has any type of calorie or sugar in it, all right? Any type of calories or sugar, it usually takes the body 12 hours to get through that glucose store. The reason this is important is that your body would preferably store fat and burn the glucose. So once the glucose stores are depleted, now your body automatically wants and needs to use fat as its energy source. But, however, in order to be able to use that fat, it has to be, the body has to be depleted of the glucose, as we said before, and also the body will not burn fat in an inflamed state. So if you have a lot of inflammation in the body, which most of us do from several different things, then the body still is going to have a hard time burning that fat. So you want to reduce the inflammation. You want to make sure that the body is depleted of its glucose stores. And what you can do for those of you who can lift weights, you want to train on a fasted stomach in a fasted state. Therefore, your body automatically uses the fat that's in the muscle cells in order to produce the energy needed to move and work through that weight. So that is a tip. Also, guys, testosterone levels are definitely something that has to be considered. This is for women and men if you're trying to lean that body out, especially for those of us who are beyond 40 and beyond. All right, so testosterone levels. So we're gonna talk about that real quick as far as the 5 herbs that you can use to boost your testosterone. Again, guys, it's a good idea to get your testosterone levels checked, as well as women. Again, it can have a host of problems if it's too much in women, but if it's too low, it does have a host of problems as well. All right, top 5 herbs for testosterone: ginseng, Mucuna piranus, horny goat weed, Tribulus terrestris, and tongue cat Ali. I'll leave that in the description. Now let's get into what we're going to talk about today, guys. We're talking about biological, physiological, and anatomical, the human species, the functioning of the human organism. And we're dealing with the survival of the species and what it requires and what is the first law for the survival of the species. The first law is to reproduce. Now, here's what we're going to get into what we're talking about. Again, don't get emotional. Don't start to get angry. Just listen, all right? Just listen. I just want you to listen, all right? So, natural. What is natural as it concerns the first law of the human species or any species is to reproduce. What is natural is for the penis and the vagina to be the vehicles through which that reproduction occurs. All right, that's natural. That's not me saying it. That's nature telling you this is how we reproduce. Now, what's unnatural and accepted is unnatural, but accepted is certain behaviors that society or culture takes upon itself to grasp and to accept as being acceptable. So penis to penis, it cannot reproduce. Penis to mouth, it will not reproduce the species. Penis to anus, it will not reproduce the species. Vagina to mouth, it will not reproduce the species. Mouth to anus, it will not reproduce the species. So again, we're dealing with the first law of any species, and the premier and the top prioritized law of any species is to reproduce that species. If the species ceases to reproduce, the species ceases to exist. So this is nature telling you what is natural and what is unnatural as it regards the survival of the species. All right, that's what we're dealing with, guys. We're not dealing with the moral aspect of sexual behavior. We're dealing with what is natural as it regards the survival of the species. It can't be argument with that. Now, let's state this. This is no referendum on what is right or wrong. So what I'm sharing with you is not a referendum on what is right or wrong. What I'm sharing with you is the logic of nature and what is natural and what is unnatural. All right, that's all we're talking about, guys. Again, let me preface this by saying that I have a sibling, half sibling that is and identifies with the LBGT community. So I love them to death. We continue to love them. I have a cousin that's always been that way for a long time, as far as I can know. So I'm not saying what is right, what is wrong. What I am saying is what is natural and what is unnatural as it regards the survival of the species and the first law of the species. Now, dealing with sexual freedom. Again, sexual freedom is a part of a society. And this, within sexual freedom, unnatural behaviors have been accepted as part of the sexual freedom. I get it, I understand it. But acceptance does not mean it's natural. So again, we're dealing with natural. We're not dealing with the moral. We're not dealing with the preference. We're dealing with what is natural. Now, there's a lot of things that go into why individuals who may be anatomically male are attracted to the anatomically male counterpart, brother, or anatomically female and attracted to the anatomical female counterpart in the species. Now, again, there are a lot of physiological things that are going on. There are a lot of things that are going on biologically. Physiologically, a lot of things have come into play into the society that actually are called endocrine disruptors. These things actually affect the actual releasing of the hormones in the body that determine behavior, that determine when certain aspects of the body grow to their full maturity, etc. So we'll have another video dealing with those endocrine disruptors and how these endocrine disruptors that are in the society everywhere actually play a role in the behavior. So the biological, the physiological, and the anatomical aspect of a being indicates what that being should be as far as their sexual reference and preference are. But this is not the case, again, due to the endocrine disruptors and many other things that are working at the cellular level that is causing hormonal dysfunction in the body, etc. So again, let me end this with this, guys. Please do not take this as being homophobic or I'm against people who choose to be with the same sex. I'm dealing with nature and what is natural, and I'm dealing with the first law of nature is the survival of that specific species, and I'm detailing for you what is natural and what is unnatural. Again, this doesn't mean I'm telling you what is right or I'm telling you what is wrong. I'm telling you what is natural and unnatural as regards nature's first law, which is reproduce the species. Everything else after that is a benefit and is the ability of man and woman to do what it is that they do. Also, you find this in the animal kingdom because the animals have been ill affected by the same endocrine disruptors that the human has been. So yes, you may see homosexuality in the animal kingdom, but again, this is not natural to the survival of any species when it comes to that. So don't, again, take this as a referendum against homosexuality. We're dealing with just nature, what's natural, and the first law is the reproduction of the human species. All right, guys, sending you peace and love. And again, if you have family, which most of us do, got kids, we have, even if we are homosexual, again, this is nothing against you. We're just dealing with what is natural and what is unnatural when it comes to the survival of the species. All right, sending you peace and love. I'll leave that information in the bottom as far as it concerns the top 5 herbs. And also, guys, remember I have a ton of exercise videos that you can utilize to do what it is that you need to do as far as the regimen. And again, remember that we're working and trying to evolve and trying to come to a better understanding of life and in its whole. And the best way to do that is to understand nature, what is not natural, what is accepted, what is not accepted, and the everything in between. Peace and love, man. Peace and love.